Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channels where we talk about everything mystical, spiritual, energy, channeling, you name it. I'm joined here by Yaila and by Peyton, my beautiful girlfriends. And today's topic, we're talking about the I word, integrity. It's an important topic, especially right now. So Peyton, let's start with you. What have you got on integrity?
Thanks, Corey. Yeah, this is a word that has been coming up for me a lot. I think a lot of people are starting to focus on it more. And so I'm so glad we're talking about this today. So for me, integrity, I always have to come back to what it means to me because everyone has kind of a different definition of it. And I heard someone define integrity as when your thoughts, your words, and your actions are all in alignment. And I just love that. So I kind of adopted that as my go-to definition for integrity. And so when I think of integrity, or the way it kind of shows up for me, is kind of in two different ways. One is personal integrity, when I am taking a look at myself to make sure that I am acting in integrity, that my thoughts, words, and actions are consistent. And then I also think of it as being very relevant to start looking at whether the people we are associating with are in integrity. So for me, what's coming up in terms of thinking about integrity in a personal context and kind of asking yourself whether you are in integrity as often as you can be, some of the ways that it shows up for me, where it can be an issue, where we can get a little, sloppy with our boundaries, are first off, when I start to look at things that I'm doing out of a sense of obligation. Because whenever we are doing something that we feel we have to do, or we should do, or people expect us to do, we can get out of integrity with ourselves, because that is when our actions, what we're doing with our life and our time, doesn't match what we want to be doing. It wouldn't be an obligation if we actually wanted to do it and we're in alignment with it. So for me, I always try to just kind of look at what I'm doing in my life and minimize as much as I can anything I'm doing out of obligation, anything that's just on autopilot that I really don't want to do, because I find that that's one way that I can let my integrity slip a little. And another way that this kind of comes up for me, the way the integrity question comes up, is when I'm not speaking my truth. And I think this is something that is so challenging for light workers and starseeds, because a lot of times we may be the first person to wake up in our friend group, or the only person who is conscious and on a spiritual path in our family. And so it can be very tempting for light workers to kind of not always speak up and speak their truth, whether that is because we fear being judged, because our beliefs are different from the average person, from mainstream beliefs, or because we're just not comfortable, having a different position, perspective than everyone around us. And so what can happen then is we don't say what we truly think. We want to keep the peace. We don't necessarily want to say things that are going to inflame people or get people riled up. And so it's very tempting for us to not speak our truth as light workers, to just kind of go along and get along. But I think we are being called more, as we move down this ascension path, to stand in our truth. And to me, that's a big part of having personal integrity, is being willing to be honest about who you are and to say what you truly mean, because so few people do this. And especially if you are someone who reads energy, you know when someone is saying something that does not match their energy. And so that's one of the ways that, as light workers, especially, because we just want harmony, we want everyone to get along. And so sometimes that can cause us to, step into kind of keeping quiet when we really should say what's on our mind. So that's one thing that I always try to kind of keep an eye on when I'm thinking about, personal integrity, is starting to say what I think from now on and let people react the way they react. Their reaction really isn't any of our business. So that's something that I think all light workers can focus on and can get a little bit better on a lot of times. So for me, when I focus on personal integrity and think about that and what that means in my life, the more I just try to be my authentic self as often as I can, to me, that kind of helps me stay in that place where what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, and what I'm feeling are all in alignment. So for me, that's when I start to keep myself in a place of integrity as often as possible. But I think it's also really important for us as light workers, because we're the peacekeepers. We are the ones who want, harmony for all. Is to start holding the people in our life to the same standards that we hold ourselves. Whether that is friends, relationships, family members, that can be a huge one. Or even people that are important in our life in terms of teachers, people that we look to for guidance and instruction and to help us move forward. So for me, it's really important for all light workers to hold everyone else to the same standard of integrity that we are trying to hold ourselves to, because this can kind of slip for light workers in our personal relationships. Because how many of us have people in our life that we are still entertaining as relationships, still hanging out with, who what they say doesn't match what they do, or they are someone who always takes, but doesn't really show up to give anything back, or those people who are just kind of negative and toxic, but we make excuses for them because, oh, I've been friends with them since kindergarten, or, oh, I went to college with that person, so that's just how they are. So for me, it's starting to get super important for us as light workers to start holding everyone else to the same standard of integrity that we are trying to live within ourselves. And so relationships can be one of those tricky spots where we can let it slide, not have the greatest boundaries, and kind of make excuses for people. And the other way that I think that integrity kind of is really important for us to be looking at right now is in terms of our teachers. Whoever we look to as, advisors, teachers, mentors, whoever we are putting in kind of a position of authority. And as light workers, we're starting to do that less and less, but we all need teachers. Teachers are super important. But one thing that we're seeing so much right now is we're hearing opposite things from so many people that it's very hard to know who to believe. Is this teacher saying that, right in what they're saying, or is this person who is saying the exact opposite? Are they right? Like, how do we know, who to listen to, what to follow? And so for me, the easiest way to kind of wade through this is to listen to your body. Because if someone is saying something that is not true, if you are paying attention to your physical body, your body will tell you that. So that's one way to know when you're trying to figure out, who to believe or who to work with or who to follow. Just notice as you are listening to them or watching their videos or taking class with them, how does your body respond to what they are saying? Because as we've talked about in a couple of our recent videos, your body never lies. And your body will give you minute by minute feedback as to everything you are hearing, whether it is in alignment with your truth. So if you are learning from someone, following someone, and they're super popular, have a huge platform, tons of followers, whatever it might be, but as you listen, if your body goes, I don't know about that, or you get that weird feeling, that acidy feeling in your stomach, your body is giving you feedback that this may not be in integrity for you. It may not be in alignment with your truth. So that's one great way, if you're not sure whether someone is in integrity, to kind of test it out with your body. Just notice what your body is doing, how your body responds. So for me, those are kind of the two ways that I look at integrity. It's kind of a personal issue that I always try to hold myself to a certain standard. And then also starting to hold other people in my life to maybe not the same standard, but at least to a standard. And that's how you start to move in a direction where you're surrounded by people who are in alignment with you, who are in alignment with your truth, and your life gets so much easier. So that is how I look at integrity. How about you, Yaila?
I just love that. And I love the definition too, where matching your thoughts, your words, and your actions, they all have to match to stay in integrity. Some things I would add to when I look, integrity is one of my favorite words. Actually, it's one of my most sought after characteristics that I try to instill in myself. And I try to surround myself with the people who are in integrity. So some things I would add to integrity, how you know you're in it or other people are in it, is also consistently. So are their words and actions and thoughts consistently aligning, or is it just sometimes when it's convenient or easy? So it's very hard to stay in integrity in tough situations or growth periods where you're adjusting to new experiences and new people. So are you acting in integrity on a consistent basis, not just the easy fun times, but all the time, especially when it's hard? The second thing I would add to integrity is, are you showing up, not just are your words, thoughts, and actions showing up in alignment for you, but are you acting in ways that you would want to receive from somebody else, somebody else's words, thoughts, and actions coming towards you? So for example, I worked with a really quick recent client, and speaking of integrity, so they were wanting some of the outside things in their life to support them in certain ways. However, when it came down to actions that they were giving, it was not in alignment. There wasn't that similar feedback or response that if they were to flip the scenario that they would have wanted to receive. So looking at integrity, are you not just showing up to match your own words, but are you showing up in how you would actually want to be received? If you're not in integrity as far as how you treat other people, how you would want to be treated, to me, that's being out of integrity, because you are not necessarily aligning with your own desires that you're giving to other people. So I think that's a big piece of integrity. And I feel like that's where it trips up a lot of people. When you look as someone who reads energy, it's very rare for people to show up in integrity on a consistent basis, just because when we are in those tough times, we default to some of these old patterns, these old fear mechanisms, these old programming. And it takes a lot of self-awareness, and it takes a lot of trusting that you'll still be taken care of, even if the outcome may not serve you to the highest best, but it's for the highest best of the whole. So integrity isn't just about our own personal integrity, but it's the impact of our actions on the world and people around us. And so, obviously looking at the state of the world, you can see certain things and companies and people who are in integrity because they support the whole, versus people, places, things that only support their own alignment or their own personal time and space, usually aren't in complete integrity, because if we aren't looking at Earth, other people, and not just ourselves, the impact on other people, we are out of integrity, because we actually are all one. So what we do to somebody else, we're truly doing to ourselves in return. And that's out of alignment. So alignment, consistency, and basically treating other people and things how you would want to be treated is a really big piece of integrity in my book. But how about you, Corey? What would you add?
Ladies, you're so magnificent. And I love that, Peyton. I do. When it all lines together. And I thought, well, I'm going to look up the definition. There's been a couple of videos where I feel guided to do that. And the definition is firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values, incorruptibility. 2, an unimpaired condition, soundness, or the quality or state of being complete or undivided, completeness. And so that last one, I was thinking about, Peyton, what you had said, when everything comes together and aligns together and is complete. Integrity for me too is really important. And I know that for me that it is up to me to work on my own integrity. And usually the people that aren't of integrity keep their word, mean what they say, but not mean when they say it, seem to slip away in my life. And they have a lot recently. And so if you're finding that there are lots of people just slipping away, No, it's because they're not in the same vibration as you are. And if you're working on integrity, those people do slip away. I loved the first definition where it says firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values, incorruptibility. And that for me is the part of integrity that aligns with me the most, is that by doing all this work and being on this spiritual journey, I was very much in integrity before that, which helped. But in doing the journey of this spiritual kind and looking at the stuff in me that could sway me from being integral was a miracle for me, because I got to know myself a lot better. And I help a lot of my clients get to know themselves much better and stand firm in who they are. It doesn't mean shutting everybody out and saying, sorry, you're not good enough for me. You're not good enough for me. You're not good enough for me. That has nothing to do with it. It's about being immovable with your own morals and values. And I see a lot of charlatans out there, on all the social media, and it makes me sad, because like Yaila was saying, that when you serve the self, that's not in integrity. It's taking advantage of somebody else and their vulnerability. So integrity for me is also not taking advantage of other people with what you believe are your strengths. And the unimpaired condition, soundness. I never thought I'd have a sound mind. My mind has always been very active. And I know it is because with my students and my clients and myself, doing that inner work that gets rid of all the sludge, the dense energy that can move us in directions that we don't want to be in by a busy mind. And there's nothing wrong with a busy mind creatively, that sort of thing. But when the creative mind gets self-sabotaging, that's when integrity falls away. So I loved that definition of the soundness and the completeness. So integrity is, yes, showing up when you say you're going to show up. Speaking your truth, that's been a big one. Speaking our truth is a big one. What do we believe? What is our truth? And not being able to be swayed. I've been like Peyton, wanting to keep as light workers, wanting harmony and everyone to be happy. And I was always so good at telling people what they want to hear for the peace and harmony, until I realized that it was not of integrity to do that, because I didn't know before. But when finding out that that is part of being integral and being in integrity, those are the things I needed to heal. And it was a great, great gift. So I loved to that, your body cannot lie to you. Our bodies don't lie to us. And when we encounter anybody, even ourselves, when we might say something or in situations or listening to somebody, if your body pings you, whether it's, anxiety or your stomach, whatever it is, that ping means pay attention. That maybe this person isn't of integrity, that their actions or their words don't match. And it's not to say that those people are so bad, you're bad. It's just something that that person might need to work on, because none of us are perfect. I know I'm not. But if I was perfect, I'd be bored. I'd have nothing to do. So integrity was a big, big, it's a big deal for me, actually. It really is. And when somebody isn't in integrity, I lovingly call them on it. But I know ultimately for me, I'm responsible for myself. When I come from a place of integrity, then I'll attract people, things, places that are integral. But it's a big one right now because there are a lot of people talking. And it is hard to tell the truth from somebody who's being self-serving. But starting with the integrity, are they integral? Do their words match their actions? Is a great place to start, and feeling it. And if you feel it in your body, pay attention to it. That's all I have. Anything else, ladies?
Something I would add, I love obviously tapping into your body because your body will never lie. Our mind can go swirly. But another way to know if somebody else or you even are acting in integrity, if there's a situation at hand, and let's say, there's one group or one person that you're either advocating a certain type of outcome for, would you advocate the same thing if you were to switch the pieces? If you were to exchange either yourself and put yourself in that shoes, or put them into the shoes, or, one group versus this group. You see that in politics, like if one side of politics is saying the other side needs to do this, if you were to flip that, would you still want that outcome for them? So you can use that with any different dynamic, all those things out there that we can be baited on as far as race, religion, politics, social status, spirituality, not spirit, whatever you want to claim the topic is. If you were to exchange any of those nouns out for one of the other ones, would you still be advocating for the same outcome or control? It's a good question to look at to see if you're in integrity or not. On that, I feel like the woke community can definitely have some lessons in integrity with that. Like, would you still be advocating some of those things that, if you were to switch out who you're advocating against, would you want those same things? So it's a big hard look at ourselves to see, hey, are we acting in integrity or not with that?
Very good. Very good. Peyton, anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's a great point. And I think that one of the reasons that this word has been coming up for so many people lately is in these energies that we go through right now. It is bringing everything that is not in alignment, everything that is not in integrity to the surface. And so we're having to look at this within ourselves and within our relationships. Because if we don't, the energy is going to force it to the surface. If you are letting people slide because you're, not, standing in your truth and your authenticity, the energy is going to show you that. And that's why we're being called so much as light workers to look at the integrity of our own community, because lack of integrity is rampant in the spiritual community. You would think we would be a little more wise than that, but it's not the case. And so integrity of who you listen to, who you are trusting, who you are taking the information in from, because we all need teachers. So we're not ever saying, don't have teachers, don't have, mentors, people that guide you. Just ask your body what feedback you're getting as you listen to them, because that's all you need to know if this is in alignment with you. Because if you listen to the words, if you get in the mind, you'll just go in circles. But we're being forced, I think, to look at integrity more now than we ever have been before. And especially in our little community, it's become very, very important. So yeah, that's what I would add.
Yeah, I agree with you, ladies. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this topic of integrity. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe our videos. And we'd love to hear your comments because we do these videos for you. And we'd love to expand on any topic that you would like for us to talk about. So until next time, bye for now.